You are the one who assaulted that poor fetcher in cold blood. It all comes down to blood and gold. I run what you might call a salute to the glory days. A proper arena. Most of the money comes from a crowd of regulars and gamblers. Most fights are low-stakes wagers on talented louts who won't be missed. Then there's the Blacklist. 10 of Tamriel's most dangerous and most insane. Blacklist duels guarantee huge crowds and massive gambling. Guns, Thames, Valmore, welcome to Ravengate. I told you, your inevitable ascension. Listen to that crowd.
After defeating 3 unworthy fighters in the Ravengate arena, the next time you talk to Zanath, he will induct you into the Blacklist. He will mention why you've been bumped up, hinting that one of the members below you has possibly been murdered. He will also inform you that number 9 on the Blacklist, Flamia Curion, has already challenged you to a battle. You will have 2 days to prepare for this fight.
Another step on the way to the inevitable, mate. Gold and glory await.
Yeah?
Another step on the way to the inevitable, mate. Gold and glory await.
I've completed the required number of fights. How's my Blacklist progress?
Well, one of your peers had an unfortunate accident on the water. Boating can be so treacherous, can't it? It does leave an open slot. Here we are. You're at number 10 on the Blacklist now. Time to earn your name. The crowd wants blood and never mind whose. Win or bleed. Oh, and number 9 has already challenged you to a duel. Flamia doesn't like what she calls upstarts. Flamia is an ex-Imperial battle mage. Let that sink in. Just think on it. An Imperial battle mage. Right out in the open. No rules, no law, no iron bars once you've washed your feet in her blood. Battle mages. Forces of nature. In war, they can lay waste whole swaths of the enemy. Counter entire ranged units all by their lonesome. It's perfect for us. I'd never send an ordinary combatant against her. They'd be slaughtered. But you, your place in history's assured.
You say I've been scheduled for a Blacklist duel. What does this mean?
It's all arranged, mate. You've both got a few days to prepare. Come back in a few days. Mind you, don't go getting yourself arrested between now and then. My faith would be shattered if you don't show.
Once you exit conversation with Zanath, a man will hunt you down named Lindor Blackfern, and he will initiate conversation with you. He will give you some insight into Flamia's previous life as an Imperial battle mage, for a price. Now, if your speech skill is level 100, you have enough gold, and you don't want to fight Flamia in the arena, I'd suggest paying up and listening to him. If you don't meet any of the criteria, then it'll be better off you fight Flamia in the arena. I'll let the dialogue play out for anyone who's interested into listening to it.
Need something?
All right, hero. I hear you're about to face down the great and terrible Flamia. I might have some insights into that worthy's mind.
Alright,
Right then, that's settled. Zanath told you Flamia's a retired Imperial battle mage, eh? Aye, well, that's the key. Now here's the door. A few months ago, her company liberated a largely Dunmer settlement from the Stormcloaks. Unfortunately, the Stormcloaks assaulted Nurn as they retreated. If they couldn't have the town's resources, well, wars like that, ugly business. Story goes, enemy commanders were shoving folk back in their houses, blocking up the doors and setting fires to thatched roofs. Anybody there? It's an old trick, easy distraction. The Legion should have been too busy saving citizens to give real chase. I doubt the Stormcloaks expected.
I'll make you pay.
Flamia erupted. Must have reminded her of old Thalmor brutality from the Great War. She broke rank and loosed her rage as a firestorm. Fire doesn't care who it devours, though, does it? When the battle was over, the Stormcloaks were dead or fled, so that's something. Unfortunately, she and her company had to rediscover an old axiom. Friendly fire isn't. It's a lesson that killed 8 of her fellows. She was encouraged to retire after that little escapade. Too unstable a mind and no longer fit for duty. Her journal's wonderful. You'll find her most nights at the Bee and Barb, drinking with her old friends and boon companions, sorrow and regret. Strike up a conversation with her. Remind her of the bad old days. Might be fun.
If you decide to listen to Lindor all the way through, this will allow you to get an optional quest option to talk to Flamia about her past. This is where your speech skill will come in handy. However, before we take any action, we should go talk to a man named Edwain. Edwain used to be the tongue for one of the more recent Blacklist members who was killed outside of the arena. Edwain will always be your main source of information, so whenever you're supposed to find a new Blacklist member, speak to Edwain to obtain more information on them. Follow me to find him. Speaking to him will give you a good background on who he is, and more importantly, who Flamia is. I'm going to skip and cut out all of the information over him and his old master to save time. I'll go straight into the information about Flamia.
The battle mage. The name says it all. Flamia, Flame. She lost everything during the Thalmor's march across Cyrodiil. It scared her. They set fire to her village while its people slept in their beds. She made it out, along with 1 or 2 others, but the village was lost. A few months ago, she came face to face with that particular Daedric nightmare again, this time with the Stormcloaks. She just reacted. Burned the Stormcloaks and the Legion soldiers fighting them in one red burst of light. They saved the villagers, but she left in shame.
We now have a good amount of information over Flamia, so let's break it all up into sections and write it all down in our dossier. Flamia is a female ex-Imperial battle mage who is number 9 on the infamous Ravengate's Blacklist. Like I just said, Flamia used to be an Imperial battle mage. A few months ago, the company Flamia worked for raided a Dunmer settlement from the Stormcloaks. The citizens and Stormcloaks of the town were not compliant with the Imperials. Due to this, tactics were used that reminded Flamia of the Thalmor brutality from the Great War. Shortly after, Flamia snapped. The flashbacks got to her, and she erupted into an immense firestorm. After the incident, many of the people around the firestorm, including 8 of her own combatants, died. This is also why almost every night you can find her inside the Bee and Barb, drinking all of her sorrows and regrets away. After this tragic incident, she was encouraged to retire. Obviously, these events have shaped her into the person she is now. She still wears her Imperial armor, however the Imperial emblem on it is crossed out. This could show many things, but for now we can just assume that she's still proud of her time she served, but she doesn't want people to ask her about it. Maybe she wants people to feel bad for what she had done, since most of Ravengate already know her backstory. Who knows? It's never fully explained in the game, but it's a thing to think about. Flamia is a skilled fighter, using all 3 of destruction magic at her disposal. Flamia isn't the one to talk, and she seems to dismiss the Dragonborn before we even get a chance to say a word to her. Taking her on in the arena can be tough, but taking her on outside the arena requires you to piss her off so much that she starts another firestorm. This is the only time I would suggest fighting a Blacklist member in the arena. Despite her sad, tragic backstory, in order to work our way up through the Blacklist, we have to defeat her. We have 2 ways we can go with eliminating Flamia. The first way requires you to have 100 speech so you can pass the final speech check with your dialogue. If you don't have that, which most people don't, use the timestamp in the description to skip to the normal way of defeating her, which is in the arena.
If you're looking for Flamia Curion, the Imperial Battle Mage, you will not find her here. No, I don't care who you are. Now go away.
I heard you have been dishonorably discharged from the Legion.
I don't want to talk about it.
I just wanted to hear the tale of how you saved those villagers.
You dare! Please.
Do you remember the names of your brothers in arms you burned alive?
You! Yes, everyone. Their wives, children, but no one will remember yours. Burn! Join the others! Burn! Blot out their screams with yours!
After passing the speech check, she will erupt into an immense firestorm. It's very hard to take her out with these conditions. A trick you can use is that if you're up in the middle of Riften when you do this, everyone will become hostile towards her and help defeat her for you. However, there still seems to be a pretty annoying bug within the mod. If you anger Flamia when any other Ravengate members are around at Riften, they will become hostile towards you, even if Flamia hits you and you don't hit back. An easy way around this is to start the firestorm, hide, and let the townsfolk take care of her. This should hopefully cause the Ravengate members to not get hostile towards you. Before you return to Zanath, be sure to loot the unique spell, Hellstorm, off of her. I'll go over this spell at the end of the video. She also has a journal revealing more of her story if you want to read it. I'll skim through the pages of the journal after the arena fight. When it's the day of your Blacklist fight, a box will appear telling you so. The fight will start anytime between 8 to 11. Make sure you show up. Go ahead and walk down to the arena, and Zanath will introduce the fight to the crowd.
Hail me.
Hi there. As soon as you walk through the door, this will commence the fight.
On the right, the Legion's finest, Flamia Curion. On the left, well, perhaps her latest victim, eh? For golden glory, lay on!
Let me start off by saying this. Most mages in this game are annoying to fight, so Flamia is no exception to this. She uses destruction magic constantly, and she will always try to keep her distance from the player. She has a good amount of health, and she deals out a stupid amount of damage. This may be your first Blacklist fight, but it is no easy one. This fight really paves the way for the other fights in the mod, as they are not to be taken lightly. However, this one is easier compared to the other fights you'll have to do. If your build allows it, keeping your distance from Flamia may be a good option. The pillar in the middle of the arena will block her spells, so be sure to use this to your advantage. However, if you're a brute, try to stagger her as much as you can. This will cause her to stop firing her spells for a second, and you can deal some good damage to her. If you have a weapon on you that allows you to drain or deal damage to Magicka, that weapon will help you out tremendously. Doing anything to stop Flamia from casting her spells will be your main goal if you want to defeat her. Some useful gear for this fight will include Spellbreaker, the Staff of Magnus, Soul Render and Blood Scythe, the Dwarven Blackbow of Fate, or any other Magicka draining weapon that you have. Once you absolutely squash Flamia like shown here, the crowd will cheer and the quest will update. Before heading back to Zanath, let's loot her body. We can find her personal journal on her, which I'll skim through right now. Here, we can take the unique spell called Hellstorm, which I'll go over at the end of this video. Now that you're done with her, return to Zanath to receive your gold award.
You gave her the death she looked for, eh? Surprised both her and the crowd. Gold, glory, and a good ending to a grand villain.
I told you, your inevitable ascension. Listen to that crowd.
That's it for Flamia, and that's it for this fight walkthrough. Stay tuned for a showcase of the Hellstorm spell. Hellstorm is a spell that will cast, well, a Hellstorm. It will burn the target for 3 seconds, dealing 15 points of fire damage per second, along with lighting the ground below it on fire. This spell is great for dealing area of effect damage, so if you're being swarmed by a bunch of Draugr, using the spell should destroy them. This poor Forsworn didn't see us coming. Even on a single target, this spell does work, trust me.
Azura herself won't save you from me.
Overall, this is definitely a spell you need to add to your arsenal if you're an aspiring destruction mage.